Okay, welcome back to Pedagogically Speaking. My name is Alana, and I'm joined today by Vasuhi. How are you doing?
Hi, I'm well. How are you?
I'm good. Welcome, welcome. And I feel like this is a perfect podcast episode for teachers right now because you're not only going to hang out with your teacher friends, you're going to hang out with all of your friends. So thank you for
Yes,
coming to the
thank
podcast.
you.
And so tell us a little bit about yourself. Begin with
My name is
young V.
Young V. Well, 48 years ago, I was born.
Wow.
I'm the eldest daughter of three sisters, so that probably explains a lot about me. How Alana and I met was through CrossFit training. So
Yeah.
that's a big part of my life, the gym.
I was just saying to Bubbles today, like, you're there every day now. Like, you are there every day.
Yeah, I'm there probably about 3 to 5 times a week. It just really depends on the week. So the last 2 years of my life have been completing a master's degree. I did an MBA through Royal Roads. So I just find that being at the gym really helps with mental health. And it's just a really good stress relief. So now that school is done, I have all this free time. So just why not do more workouts?
That's totally fair.
Yeah. So that's been the last 2 years of my life. Professionally, I work as a project manager for the province of BC. I've been with the province for 6 years. And before then, I spent 20 years in banking and investments. So, helping people in one aspect in banking. And now I'm just helping all of the taxpayers in another way, working for the province.
That's so cool.
Sure.
When did you start CrossFit?
Oh, that I started CrossFit January of 2015. Now, it
Wow.
wasn't like a New Year's resolution or anything like that. 2014 was a very, very difficult year for me personally. I was dealing with a lot of mental health things. I was just not being very kind to myself or my body, and started doing some therapy towards the fall of 2014. And then by December, I was like, I'd always been like fairly active and I had done some running, I had done yoga, I had done some weightlifting and really enjoyed that, but needed something a bit more structured. I'm very routine oriented. And a girlfriend of mine was going to Tyrannus at the time, and Tyrannus Athletics, that's where I work out. And I had said, oh, can I come just try a class with you? And so I went to one class. It wasn't even a class. It was just me and her and a coach kind of trying to take me through these very basic
Yeah.
ropes of and I remember trying to do this pull up with probably 2 or 3 bands around my leg to try and get over the bar and being like, oh my God. And I remember seeing this very fit tattooed guy across from me. And I swear he was just staring at me the whole time. Looking back, he was probably just doing his own workout and had no
Yeah.
idea what I was doing. so,
That's so funny.
so after that, they had foundations come 3 times a week for a month. And, it's a group, so it's less intimidating. So I thought, fine, okay, I'll try this for a month. And I went into the first class. I was probably almost 40 at that point. So I'm feeling very old.
That's
And
cool.
these young, fit kids are in there. So I'm like, great, I feel old and fat.
You're not
And
old.
this is terrible. I can't lift I can't
Oh,
even lift barely a dumbbell above my head. And those first few classes were rough. Remember, I'm coming off of some pretty bad mental health stuff. My self-esteem is really, really low. And I'm like, great, these fit kids. And there's this old lady in the corner. And I would come home and I'd be in tears. I'd tell my husband, I'm like,
oh
I can't do this. And
no.
he was like, no, you know what? He goes, you've committed for a month. You've paid for the month. Just do the month. And I was like, all right. So, I would go and, be I felt like I was being humiliated just because I wasn't very fit. Right. And,
It's okay.
and I was like, but, I did it for the month. And then I hired a coach to work with me one on one. And then I would do some classes. And yeah, that was, oh my God, that was 11 years ago.
That's amazing.
And I will say, as fit or as unfit or as unhealthy or old or whatever as I felt, I realize now that was just all me
Yeah.
and things that I had to work through because it was never the environment that I have experienced at the gym that you and I go to. So
No, it
yeah.
can be hard. Actually, Andrew was talking about the same thing because I asked him the same question today. And she was
Yeah.
saying how she started, and she did start with a friend of hers, but she had just had her oldest daughter born in like March. And then so she said she started in August, but she started with
Mhm.
someone who was in their 20s and quite fit. And so
Oh, yeah.
she said that was very difficult for her to have to kind of
Yeah.
do those things, the foundations course side by side. Before.
Totally. And don't get me wrong, 11 years later, I still can't do, a pull-up without a band, but there's lots of other things I can do that I'm really proud of about how strong I've gotten.
Yeah, you're so strong.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so it's been very good. You feel a little badass when you're picking up, 200 pounds off the ground, and I thought, "You know what? We're not there." The thing I like about it is you're in competition with self, and it's fine. Doesn't matter how fast or how slow you do it, it's just get it done. So, yeah.
That's totally fair. So that's how you started and then why. But what makes you continue it? Is it that kind of that strength building and everything like that, the growth?
Um, it's the strength building. I'll honestly I talk a lot about mental health, but honestly, there's a few things in my life that are kind of like these anchoring habits that are really good for my mental health, and going to the gym is one of them. Like, I find just getting that there's something about the intense CrossFit workout that you can't really think about anything else when you're doing it. You're
Yeah,
just like, "Oh my
that's
god,
so
this is
true.
gonna be like the worst 20 minutes of my life." But you get through it, and I'm like, "This was great. This is exactly what my body needed to expend some energy." I'm someone whose brain is always going, and it's always thinking, and it's always 10 steps ahead of where it should be. So I find it's good. I also find the community at this particular gym is great, and I've made some really great friends and connections, and yeah. And it's the accountability. It's a class I have to show up for. They tell me what to do. I'm sure I could go to the rec center for much cheaper and do my own workout, but I wouldn't be as committed to doing it.
No, and there's the mental load of also like you don't like Tyrannus or like I guess anything where you're doing it with like group classes or you've got a personal trainer, like the mental load of having to figure out what the workout is going to be.
100%.
Plus, then the motivation, like, you don't need to be motivated to go to a gym where you have to do something because you have to do it.
Yeah.
So you
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
yeah. It's funny because Wayne and I, over the past couple of years, we've had, like, not real arguments, but little kind of, like, arguments about what motivation because he thinks, "Oh, well, I'm not motivated, so I'm not gonna do it." And I'm like, "That doesn't exist. Like, just you
Mm,
do this thing or you don't do this thing. You can't
yeah.
blame it
Yeah.
on, like, this manifestation of what you think motivation is. Like, do it or
Totally.
don't do
Totally.
it."
Yeah.
It's interesting to hear you talk about your mental health because I have only seen you as a very outgoing, very
Oh,
confident bubbly person. Like, I still have
thank you.
that photo of you putting on some lipstick before a workout.
That's right. Hey, man, if you're gonna work out, you gotta look good
Gotta look
doing it.
good. Gotta look good. So yeah, I guess has that grown since like for the last 11 years, or have you always had that and just sometimes it gets buried in things?
I think, thank you for what you said, about how you see me. It's very nice.
But
I
it's so
think when I
true.
tell
You walk in and you know everybody. You're talking to
Yeah,
people. I hear you build people up all the time.
yeah.
I think you've even like were you a cheerleader in high school?
No, I was just very popular.
Okay, my apologies.
Yeah.
You still are.
I think it's very interesting because I do have, an anxiety disorder, and not a lot of people it's something I'm very open about, but I think people are surprised to hear it because 'cause they're like, "Oh my god, like, you're, like, so bubbly and you're so this," and I'm like, "Yeah, I'm also hilarious," you know?
You're so
Um,
funny.
yeah, but, it's been something that I got diagnosed with about 21
Okay.
and it's a combination of, like, medication and therapy and the gym and having a good support system, with my husband and my friends. It's a combination of things that keep me who I am. But looking back on definitely the last like 25 plus years, seeing who I am today is a very different. I think I've always been outgoing and outspoken, but I
Right.
think just the self esteem and self confidence that's something that has definitely improved with all the tools in the toolkit. Yeah, I have moments, like I said, 2014 was a really bad year for me, and so was 2019. Right before I quit my job at the bank, I had a bad mental health episode, and it was like, all right, we gotta make a change, or things aren't going to go so well. So, yeah,
That must have been hard too, just think about 2019 and then thinking like 2020 with COVID. Like that
Oh,
must
yeah.
have been like quite a chunky time.
Yeah. So it's interesting. So I had left my job in March of 2019. And then I had kind of done I'd left the industry altogether. And I did some accounting work for a friend. Then I started in government in May of 2019. And by December of 2019, honestly, Alana, I remember that as being a really, really happy time for me. So I was
Oh,
feeling
nice.
really good about myself. I had done a lot of work to kind of heal from things that I had gone through in my previous career. So by the time, like, the pandemic hit, I had actually gotten a promotion at work, like, we were actually doing really
Oh,
well, and
doing well.
but yeah, it felt really weird to be like, "Oh, here where Tim and I, things are going really well for us and our family," and all of my friends are like, "Oh, our businesses are shutting down," or, "We've been
Yeah.
laid off from our jobs," or yeah, so it was a day, but I think had I not left my job when I did, I think 2020 would have been very different for me.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you went into the pandemic doing well, but then did
Yeah.
the gym must not have been able to stay open?
The gym stayed open, but it was kind of a weird thing because I don't know if you were you I don't know if you were at the gym then,
I
but it
started
was like
just after COVID.
okay. So it was kind of a self-directed thing. So you would go in, but you would do your own workout. There wasn't any classes.
Oh, that sucks.
So I kept my membership going, and I wasn't really working out then. We were going on lots of walks. I was drinking a lot, as I
As
think a lot of
everyone
us
did.
did during the pandemic. I
Yeah,
would
all
go
those
to the
liquor
gym.
stores stayed open.
Oh, yeah, right? I would go to the gym, but I would do, like, a yoga class. Like, I would do my own yoga in the corner. I would ask the owner, I'm like, "I wanna come. Can I just do my own?" I can't do a self-directed class. I still need a coach to kinda take me through everything, but
Totally.
I like yoga, so if I can just do that in the corner, I'll do that, and so she let me do that. So, yeah,
That's cool, and then you're getting out.
yeah,
I don't
yeah.
the only reason I can do Sundays, which is the self-directed day at Taranis, is because Jack is there.
Oh, yeah.
Like, if it was any other coach, I don't think I'd make it, but, like, I'm like, "Oh, I gotta
Yeah.
see Jackie and little
Go
Betty."
see Jackie. Sundays have been great, so I've been doing the High Rocks
I
training
know,
on
it's so
Sundays.
good that they're on there.
Not for any other reason other than it's just to help build my capacity because 'cause I'm not a runner, I don't have a very good cardiovascular, so I thought, well, if I can do every Sunday, at least it's getting something in there, so,
I just think that's
yeah.
so amazing. So we've talked a lot about, like, the different ways that you've helped your mental health, but also, like, stayed active and everything. What has nutrition, like, done for you?
Oh, haha, good. It's great. I feel like this is a podcast to, like, say how great Tyrannus is.
Well, I don't know, you went with it. I'm ignoring my other questions.
Back in 2022, so despite all of the, good workouts and all of the good exercise that I do, I've never really been great about my diet, and I have a history of diabetes in my family.
Oh, scary.
And my husband and I like to go out a lot, and we are very social eating and drinking people. My blood sugar hit the type 2 diabetes level. And so the doctor had said, one more positive test, then we have to look at some options.
Okay.
And I think I've mentioned I already take medication for like anxiety and I take some other stuff. And I was like, "Ugh, I don't want to take more medication that I'm going to forget to take." Do you know what I mean? So
Yeah, exactly.
so she says, "Okay, I'll give you 3 months to, like, kind of, bring your numbers down through diet and exercise." So I hired Morgan, who was working out of Tyrannus at the time, to do nutrition, and, yeah, I just told her, I said, "I need to bring my numbers down." The thing I really like about Morgan is that she was very aware that I wasn't gonna stop going out and I wasn't gonna stop drinking wine, so
Right.
what can we do? But in those 3
But
months
realistically, yeah.
yeah, but in those 3 months, the numbers came down so much. The doctor was, like, super impressed. She's like, "What did you do?" She goes, "No one's numbers come down this much." I'm like, "I just did what you told me to do. You said I had
That's
3
nice.
months,
But no
and
one
I'm
ever
very goal
listens.
motivated." So, yeah. You told me I had 3 months, or you're gonna put me on more medication. I don't wanna do it. Yeah. And so, yeah, so Morgan and I still work together, and it's been almost 4 years now.
Wow.
And,
'Cause I feel like I
yeah,
remember when you started.
yeah, 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 because I was wearing the glucose monitor for a long time. Yeah.
Remember.
Yeah. And yeah, so nutrition, it's only been the last few years since that diabetes almost diagnosis that I was like, okay, I need to take this seriously. And again, it's the accountability that helps with having a nutrition coach, especially when I was in school. Because if there was any time I was going to go off the rails,
Yeah.
you know what it's like, right? Your life is like work and school. And then I'm like, you're just eating to survive. And so I was like, what? And then you just want sugar and carbs and whatever is
So many
around you.
carbs.
Yeah. So it was really having to have a good plan in place that has really helped.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, I find also, like, I'm really good at convincing myself that I need carbs because 'cause I'm, like when I'm, like, doing, like, a big essay or something, because 'cause I'm just like, "Well, carbs feed the brain, so, like, load up. You need to get smarter."
Yes. I will say there was one day because I do have to keep my carbohydrate intake lower because I just that's what my body converts into sugar, and then the A1C goes up. I remember sitting here and I was studying, and my husband brought me, we call it bowl food in our house. It's just like some meat and some veggies and some rice and, down it in some hot sauce and away you go.
Nice.
And he brought me like this bowl of rice with stuff. He's like, no, I don't know if I was like going like, if I was going space. He's like, he goes, you need you need some rice right now. Like just eat. I
It's rice time.
was like, all
Yeah,
right. He goes,
that's
it's good. It's
awesome.
good for you right now when you're studying.
I'll take that. Thank you.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So, alright, we'll go back to my regular questions. So you mentioned that you were, originally in banking and investment.
Hmm.
Now you're a project manager.
Hmm.
So, when did you have such a positive experience with numbers and management where it made you go, "Yes, I want that career path"?
Oof.
How did it come about?
How did it come about to where I am today?
Or just even, like, how did you get into banking? Like, how did
Banking, you
you
mean?
think that that's what you wanted to do?
It just, it was more so back when, before Micah was born, and Micah's 26 now. I had graduated from high school and did a 1-year program at Camosun in legal secretary,
Oh,
some course, whatever, certificate. And in there, I did a couple of accounting courses, and I was like, yeah, they're okay. I didn't do very well in them. But right after that, a friend of mine, his parents had like an electronics, I guess it was like an electronics distributing company. And they needed some accounts payable help. And so I went there and I worked for them for a few years. Um, but I really always wanted to work for Coast Capital Savings, or what was Pacific
wow.
Coast Savings at the time. Yeah. Because I banked there and they just always seemed so like happy and nice. And I had just decided after I had Micah, I was like, yeah, this is where I want to work. I just want to work here. I kind of like the customer service side. The accounts payable was fine, but I was in like a head office, so I didn't really interact with customers a lot and clients. Yeah, so when Micah was 6 months old, I made that switch to do that, and
Cool.
yeah, and started as a bank teller. And I think for me, it wasn't so much the numbers; it was always wanting to help people. And so how can I help people? So from being a bank teller, went into like opening small bank accounts or small lines of credit for people. And then from there, I thought, how can I make my life worse? No, I'm just kidding. What can I do?
Right.
And I didn't want to be a loan. So at that time, you could be a loans officer or you could go into like investments. And the loans
Right.
officers always seemed to like having to like, it just seemed like they were like always trying to make the deal work and make the numbers fit. And I thought this just doesn't sound very exciting. Whereas the investments, you had people coming to you with like, I have all this money and I don't know what to do and help me. It was a little bit more like strategic problem solving. And so I liked that.
Totally.
And so I went into that. It was not an easy transition because all of a sudden I had to pass exams to, like the Canadian securities exams, which like kicked my butt the first time I wrote it. I was like,
Okay.
oh yeah.
Super intense.
It was really intense. I think I came in with like a 48%. You needed a 60 to pass. I was like, oh my God. But yeah, I did eventually pass. Worked at Coast Capital as an investment specialist. And then for me, it's like I always want to be challenged. And so that job was fine. But I was like, okay, I'm selling mutual funds. I want to learn from people who actually like kind of build portfolios. So then I made the switch over to Royal Bank Dominion Securities to learn, okay, how do people build portfolios? And from there did like financial planning. But again, the things that I really enjoyed about the banking world was the helping people and strategizing and that problem solving with them. So yeah, so it wasn't so much the numbers thing, which I think has always kind of come to me naturally. It was more about the people side. And as you may or may not notice, I like people. And a lot of people have like, especially like I worked with a lot of entrepreneurs. They have really interesting stories about how they made a
That's
living.
cool.
Yeah, it was really neat.
So did you work mainly with people that like already had money, or like were you also sometimes working with people that are like, okay, like I just got, $10,000 and what do I do with it?
Yeah, so I would say at the credit union for sure, it was more like what you're talking about, like people starting off, just I'm wanting to set up my RSP for the first time, or I just got a little bit of an inheritance. Like, what do I do with this? The team that I was working with at RBC, it was all very established
Right.
clients, people that
Cool.
already had like a considerable amount of wealth that needed help. More like, oh, how do I invest this so I'm not paying so much tax, or how do I invest this so that it transfers to my children easier, like that type of thing. So it was a very different clientele
Nice.
from the credit union, but both were great. Both were great experiences for the
And
for the most part.
great,
till I
but
till I
also
quit.
till you quit, yeah.
Yeah.
So what made you do the project management stuff with the
With the
provincial project
province.
health?
So my first job with the province was actually at Government House, which is where the lieutenant governor lives.
Yeah,
Which was like, it was a job where my one of my best friends, she worked in the she worked in government and she worked in HR, and she knew I was looking for a job, and she's like, "Hey, there's this job. It may not be exactly what you want and it might be a little bit below your skill level, but I think it'd be interesting." It was like a data entry for accounting, and at the time, I think my mental health was so shattered. I was like, "This sounds great. What, go in,
didn't know.
enter some figures in a computer and go home?
Right.
Perfect." But I think for me, projects has just been something that I'm a fairly organized person, and I just get stuff done. And so I think project management has just come naturally to me. Um, yeah, and so at Government House, I ended up becoming the operations manager and doing a lot of event planning and set up for events. And with that is, well, you're having to like manage how things are set up and
Yeah.
and when things are done, and then turning over the room for the next thing. We probably did about 200 events a year. It did get pretty
Wow.
intense. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
so cool.
Yeah. So it was a really good job, but again, always looking for another challenge.
Right.
The thing with Government House is that even though it's part of the province of BC, it's very siloed and different from how
Yeah.
the rest of the province operates. And so I really wanted to learn, oh, well, how does the minister that you see on TV, how do they get that information? And,
Oh, right.
you know, so then I went to work for a different ministry just on a temporary assignment in an assistant deputy minister's office. So, or ADM. So they're the ones, there's the minister, there's the deputy minister, and then there's an ADM. So I was working with the ADM, but then I got to see like, oh, the briefing notes and how do you put things together. And it was busy and it was intense, and it was like a minister needs something, you got like 24 hours to get this turnaround to them.
So cool.
It was an interesting job. It wasn't the job for me because it was a
Right.
lot of like chasing people down for stuff and like bugging them and follow up, and it was good, and I definitely learned what I wanted to learn, which was how does information travel from a program area up to the minister. But I wasn't hands on. It wasn't hands on enough for me. Yeah, and then I was like, oh, I said, at the time I was studying to write the project management professionals exam, or the PMP, and I thought, I know how to manage projects. That's not a problem. But how does the province want me to manage projects?
Mm.
So somebody I knew, it's always someone that you know,
Always someone you
somebody
know.
that I knew
Make those
knew somebody.
connections, people.
Yeah, exactly. It's all about networking. Somebody I knew somebody that ran a project management office and was actually looking for somebody. And so that's
Oh,
the job I'm in now. I came in as like just a temporary, try it out for a bit and see. And it was good. The pace was really good. It wasn't too intense. It was definitely something I could do. I was learning a lot from a very established team that had been working together for almost 10 years. And that was when I had decided to go back to school to do a master's. And I thought, if I'm going to go back to school, this is a great job to stay in because,
Right.
it's a steady, 8 to 4, Monday to Friday. It
Yeah.
was in the union. It was my first time in a union job.
Very cool.
And so I didn't have a work cell phone. Nobody was calling me. There was nothing on fire.
That's amazing. Yeah,
So,
you were
yeah.
literally done it for.
Yeah, and then I could, when school was on, that was great. I could be home by 5:30 in time for class. So,
That's so
yeah.
cool. What made you wanna get your master's?
Oh, honestly, it's probably like a lot of family pressure. I come from a very educated family that I'm the only one without a degree.
Oh,
And also I think it gave formality to things that I already had done. I didn't have an undergrad up until this point. I had done a year of an undergrad at Camosun, kind of specializing in accounting.
yep.
I had done lots of stuff through the bank. I had done like a certification for project management, but no degree. And there are places where you apply for jobs and a degree is still important, even though I have all
Mhm.
this experience. My boss was actually, when I had approached my boss to tell her like I was wanting to go back to school, she was a bit surprised too. She's like, why? Like, you already have all these things. Like, why would you want to go back? I said, because it's just that, is to give formality to what I already do. So that was a challenge too, because I wanted to jump right into doing a master's degree. And there's very few universities in Canada that will allow you to do that without an undergrad. And Royal Roads is one of them. But you have to prove that you belong and can work at that level. They just don't let anybody in.
Right.
Yeah,
How do you
so
prove it?
I had to show them all my transcripts from anything I had ever done post-secondary. They wanted my resume. I had to show that I had so many years at a leadership level. I needed 2 letters of reference. I needed a personal statement. I had to do an
Wow.
English class. Like, there
You
was a lot of things to show that, okay, you can operate at this level. It's not going to be a disservice to the other people in the cohort. Yeah. So, yeah.
can't believe you had to do an English course?
Yeah. Well, yeah, because the last English course I had taken was in 2017. So I had nothing to show that they wanted to see a sample of writing. So you could either submit something that had been graded,
Oh, I see,
or you could write an essay. And I was like, forget it, I'll just take a course.
Alright, yeah, so it was
So
a
yeah,
choice, there was a choice there.
there was a choice. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. But yeah, so that's what did it. But I will say, my husband said it best. He says, what school has given you is that you've always been a critical thinker.
Mm.
It's just given you better words to express yourself. And I
Oh, that's
think too,
nice.
I think there's a lot of like I don't know, self-worth. I mean, I'm very proud of myself for doing this. And so people joke to me at work. I'm like, you did an MBA while doing CrossFit. I'm like, yes, I did.
Nice.
And so I feel like I can speak with more authority now.
That's
It's probably
cool.
the same authority that I spoke with before. But when people now say, well, you mean you studied that? I'm like, yeah, I did study it. So if that makes you feel like
Yeah, if
I'm
that
better
gets me higher
for
on
having
your
done it,
thing.
then yeah. Yeah.
Whereas before you could have been like, "I've lived it."
Exactly. But then that only takes you, apparently, like that only means so much to some people, right? But
I
if I can
know,
say
it's ridiculous.
I've read this on academic articles, I've had to write papers about it, I can speak with some authority on it.
Yeah,
Yeah. And it probably comes across in the way that I express things better too. So
that's fair.
yeah,
If anything that gives you a confidence boost is great.
totally. Right? Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
So what are some
Mm.
ways so you're an avid problem solver. What are some
Mhm.
times maybe that being loving problem solving so much has gotten you in trouble? Have there been any times like that?
I'm sure there have been. I'm sure there have been times that I can see a problem and I want to solve the problem, but sometimes the person doesn't want you to solve the problem.
I know.
Whether it's personally or with work or, I had a I had a boss that once said that I had the gift of foresight and I'm like, "Yes, I do. I know that if you do this, it's going to end up badly."
Yeah.
But some people have to come to that realization on their own.
Has it been has that been hard as a mom to let your kids just like do that?
Oh yeah, isn't it? I am really fortunate though. Like our boys they've really given us nothing to really worry about,
No, they're
and
wonderful.
And I don't know if that's because, like, we were parents so young that I was like, we're just trying to just survive. Yeah, but they're really good. They're really good kids who are really big into sports, and I think that's been a really good solid foundation for them. All of their friends are really into sports. But yeah, it is tough when you can see something. I see this a lot with like girlfriends and relationships, and I'm like, oh, I don't know. All right, well, I have to remind myself it's not my relationship, it's not my life.
Yeah,
I'm
you
here
just
to
gotta let
support
it run its
them.
course.
Yeah, yeah.
That's fair.
I am the person though, if you're dating somebody new, just have them meet me because I'll tell you in 5 seconds.
Good to know. I'm glad I'm
Okay or
happily
not.
married for, like,
Yeah, 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 that's right.
9 years almost.
Yeah. Been meaning to talk to you about Wayne. No, just kidding. He's fine. He's like soccer. He's all good.
Yeah. No, he's good. I had to go all the way to New Zealand to get him, so, like, everyone's just
Yeah,
gonna have to so is it hard for your kids to bring, like, their partners around? Or anyone they're dating?
I don't think so. It's our youngest that I've met a couple of girlfriends, but they're not. I don't know. I don't know if this generation is just different from us, They just
Oh, it
kind of,
is.
you know, there's nobody, there's a lot of like hanging around and, dating, but yeah, I've met a couple of serious ones, but then, yeah, then it
Yeah.
doesn't work out. I'm like, okay, well, they're still pretty young. So
Yeah.
yeah,
26 is pretty young.
yeah, yeah, right.
Alright. I wrote this question down 'cause I heard someone else ask it, and I was like, "This could be interesting," but I don't think I think you'd be like, "No one," but I'm just gonna ask anyways.
Okay.
Who are you jealous of?
Oh, shit. Oof.
Mm.
I'm jealous of people who are younger than me and who have made it higher in their careers.
Aw.
That has been something that has been really difficult for me to see. I see people who are at like an executive director or ADM level in government and they're like not even 40, you know? And I think, damn, if I hadn't, you played that what if game. What if I hadn't, what if I had taken a government job when I was 19, like right out of high
Ugh,
school,
that sounds
or
terrible. No, thank you.
my dad was a career public servant. So he kept like, I remember he would like show me like, after I finished my legal secretary certification, he'd be like, oh, look, the government's hiring, government's hiring. And
Mm.
it just seemed too like far. It didn't seem attainable for me.
No, I think you need to live a little, like,
Yeah, yeah. Live a
personally.
little. Yeah, but then I got married and then I got pregnant and then I got pregnant again and and
Well, that's living.
then I became a single mom and and so I
You know,
think,
my
oh well,
husband
yeah, then I met my husband, right? Yeah. Um yeah, and then I think, oh, what if I hadn't like taken that career at the bank? What if I had gotten to university sooner?
Mm.
What if I had realized that maybe the investments really wasn't going to be the career for me and what if I didn't make this big life altering decision at 42, to live this 20-year career and then, go do something else. So yes, I would say if I'm jealous of anybody, it's those people. However, I am learning that there's no one right path because I look at some of those people and then I'm like, oh God, you're 40 and you're trying to juggle like a 5-year-old and like, in your career and all of this stuff. And part of me is like, oh, maybe it wasn't a bad thing that I had my kids younger and I wasn't as like I was always very career motivated, but I wasn't as by the time I was getting more serious about schooling and stuff, I had met Tim by that point. So I
Yeah.
had help and I had a partner and I had support. Yeah. So now I'm in like, 48 and kids are grown and I'm like, okay, I can go back to school full time. I can, put more time into career. But yeah, I would say that that's when I think of things like I look at people, I'm like, oh, those are the ones that I'm
A little jealous of.
envious from. Yeah.
That's fair. That's not the answer I thought I was gonna get, so that's pretty
You know,
cool.
we what do you think it's something to do with the gym?
No, I thought you were gonna be like, "I'm not jealous of anybody."
I'm just please, they should be jealous of me.
Yeah, exactly. Who do I gotta be jealous of? I'm
Yeah,
amazing.
yeah, totally.
I just went to Mexico. I'm
That's
doing
right.
good.
I'm doing good. Got eaten alive by mosquitoes where my husband's like, "There's no mosquitoes down here." I'm like, "Yeah, because 'cause they're all on me, sir."
Yeah. I'm your mosquito protectant.
Yeah, yeah, that's right, exactly.
So, I guess so then has your life gone the way that you expected it to go?
Oh god, no, not at all. I think I've always known as a teenager that I wanted to be somebody that had children and wore suits to work. This is yeah. I've always known that. At one point, I thought I'd be a social worker because I just always wanted to help people. But I yeah, I never thought that I would be a single parent, like a sole parent of two toddlers. Yeah, I had never pictured myself getting married and then getting divorced. Yeah. So no, that's not something that I pictured, but it's also very interesting because it's not something that I would trade either. I think it's one of the best decisions I made was deciding to raise the boys by myself. I don't know how they'd feel about it. I don't know that they were so young. I don't even know if they
Yeah.
really remember. But I think it taught me a lot about myself, about my own resilience, and then for my next relationship, what I was willing to put up with and what I wasn't.
Yeah, that's
And I
cool.
think that's probably what makes one of the things that makes Tim and I so good is because I was very clear when he asked me out. I was like, listen,
This is what's going on.
this is what's going on. This is my life, and you either are part of it or you're not. And yeah,
Yeah.
whatever.
And I don't suffer fools anymore.
Exactly. So
And how long have you guys been
so
together now?
we just had our 20th wedding anniversary.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
Yay,
yeah.
congratulations.
So yeah, no, life has not gone as I thought it would because I don't know. I yeah. Other than always wanting to know that I wanted children and wanted to wear a suit to work, I think, I'm a Gen Xer and my parents are like my parents were yeah, my dad's in his 80s, so I definitely have older parents. But it was you graduate high school and you go to university and then you get a job and then you get married and then you have children and then and that's how it was
Yeah.
supposed to be. That's not. I've just kind of always done my own thing. I left home when I was still in high school, got married super, super young, had kids young. I think I accomplished all the things that I wanted to, just not in the linear order that I expected to do it in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not the and then thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But that almost makes sense because when you were the way you were talking about your career earlier, like you're like, "Oh, I'm curious, so I'm gonna check this out." Like you
Yeah.
follow your curiosities.
Yeah. Yeah, I do. I'm not some like I mean I'm usually like even if I stay with the same organization, usually every 2 to 3 years, I'm like, okay, what more can I learn?
Where
What
can
can I
I move?
do? Yeah, what other challenges out there for me?
That's cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
What do you say is like your creative outlet then?
Hmm. I play the piano. I don't know if you knew that.
I did not know that.
Yeah. Yeah, I play the piano.
Very cool.
Um I sing. I just kind of burst into song every once in a while just randomly.
Do you think you'll join like a choir or something?
I mean, in high school I was in a choir, but I don't know, man. I have all this free time. Like, what am
You
I
should
gonna
join a
do?
choir.
Yeah.
This teacher at my school was like, "Oh, you should join my choir." And I was like, "I cannot sing." She's like, "But if you're enthusiastic enough," I was like, "I cannot sing."
But you're like, if you look like you're mouthing the words and having a good time, that's it's a little dance up there.
But you could do that. I'm always
Yeah, yeah. Create. I don't think of myself as very creative.
one thing I'm finding as I'm like
Yeah.
41 is like I never considered myself creative because my mother is an artist and she painted acrylic on canvas landscapes that were like 4 foot by 6 foot, like
Oh, okay.
huge things. And then my sister's very creative. She's a painter, she's an amazing photographer. So I definitely grew up thinking that that's what creativity was and like I could not do any of those things.
Yeah.
But I'm realizing now that like a creative outlet is just kind of something that it's almost like I'm treating it like any hobby is creativity. So like this is like my like creative outlet now of
Oh, yeah,
like
yeah. No, this is
this is
good.
fun.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. I don't know. I like to read. Um, yeah. I wouldn't say any. I mean, the gym is really like would I have ever you asked me if my life turned out the way I thought, I have never seen myself as being like this kind of athlete ever.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. PE was like I was like the girl picked last. I was also the girl that as soon as we didn't have to take PE anymore, I'm like, I'm out.
I'm
I
out,
will
yeah.
go do something else. Anything else? Um,
Totally.
yeah. Yeah. So I'd say, I mean, I don't know if that's creative, but
I think so.
yeah. Yeah.
It's movement.
It's movement. Yes. Yes.
Oh, right. All right, we're getting closer to the end of my question, so we're just gonna have to start
Chit-chatting, shooting
figuring
the
this
shit.
out for ourselves. But we did talk about your masters, and I was
Mhm.
wondering, so especially like with your background, how did it feel when you were going to start your masters? And then how did it feel during your masters?
So when I started, I was like, I felt really intimidated because I was going to be in school with all of these people. So I did an executive MBA, which means that you have to, they're all people who are in career. And some of these people had big jobs, man, like VP of like some big organization and like lawyers and like chief technology like, and I'm like, my God. And I'm like, oh, I'm, what was I? Oh, I'm a project manager with the province, like big
That's
deal.
so cool.
So it was pretty intimidating. Also because I didn't know if I was going to be seen as less than because y'all had to do a 4-year undergrad to get in, and I kind of not stuck my way in. Like I did have to do a
You
lot
did
of
not.
work to get in, but I didn't know if I would be seen as less than. So I think I felt like I had something to prove to myself, which apparently I did because when they needed a cohort rep, they're like, V should do it. We're going to nominate her to be the cohort rep and have FaceTime with the dean,
Oh my.
who's probably very happy that I have graduated. Um, so during it, it was really, really intense because not only did I jump into grad school without an undergrad, I did a 3-year program in a year and a half. So it was like a new course, like it was 2 courses at a time. Every 9 to 10 weeks, they switched over. It was just straight through with no breaks. It was a lot.
That's
I started January of 2024. By July of 2024, I was like, I don't know if I can do this. I don't know if I should switch to the other side of the program. My mental health was not doing well.
yeah.
It was just a lot. I had a really great girlfriend in the program. She was like, no, she's like, I have decided I'm just dragging you along with me. We're just finishing this together. And I was like, okay. And I honestly think that if it wasn't for that, if it wasn't for her, if it wasn't for the support that I had from other members of the cohort, that was a huge part of it for me because those particular 2 courses, I didn't do so well in the individual portion, but we rocked it on the group assignment. So I was like, well, that's what brought up my GPA, those
That's
2 courses.
awesome.
Yeah, so it was really, really intense. There were definitely times that I thought, did I make the right decision by trying to do this faster? Um, yeah, I had a big thesis project to do. That was
Yeah.
really, really intense. It was going on during the strike because I was that the province had. There was just a lot
Of course.
going on.
So much going on.
There was a lot going on, but the strike was as much as it sucked being on strike and picketing. It helped me in the sense that it gave me time to do my writing.
Yeah.
So I could go to the gym, I could come home, I could write, and then I could go and do my picketing shift. Yeah, and then it felt a little anticlimactic to be done, to be honest, because I was still on strike. And
Yeah.
so what I had pictured in my mind was, oh, I would hand in my final assignment, I would get my mark, and I would just be able to kind of like living my best life, up until like, I don't know, like till we went for Mexico in November.
Yeah.
But what happened was I went
Not
on
what you thought.
strike, I handed in my final assignment, I got my mark back, and I was like, well, now what?
No.
We really dialed back our spending during when I was on strike.
Of course.
And so I couldn't do like a big celebration or anything. A girlfriend of mine had gifted me a bottle of champagne. And so I was like, okay, well, that's nice. I'll open that and have a couple of friends over. And that was it. Whereas normally Tim and I would have gone out for dinner and, kind of had like a big to do or
Big to
something.
do.
Yeah. Yeah. So there was no to do. It was just, yeah. So yeah.
That's hard because we've actually talked about how hard it is to celebrate yourself anyways, right? So
Well, that's
then when
just it.
it
Right.
gets
Yeah.
taken away from
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. But the rest of my cohort graduated in November. Because I got an extension on my assignment, I wasn't done till October, so I missed graduation by a little
Mm,
bit, which was fine. I still celebrated with them. They were all out here. We went for dinner. We got to celebrate, so that felt good.
yeah.
By then, the strike was over. We were leaving for Mexico. Yeah, and then my degree came in the mail. So now it's
Yay!
all framed. My graduation won't be until June, just the way that the
Yeah.
cycles work for graduation. But yeah, now I think now that the degree came and it's framed and it's in my office at home, that feels good. Like, I'm like, that's like the real tangible thing to be like, "Oh, I have done this and it's over," and
Pretty.
yeah. Yeah, it's pretty. So shiny.
So shiny and
Yeah,
new.
but there were definitely times during the program where I was like, it's just yeah, I mean, you've done it. It's
It's
so
brutal.
much. Yeah, and
Yeah, but
your life is like work, study, sleep, gym,
barely sleep.
and I'm like, yeah, it was a lot.
Yeah.
I know it was a lot for my family. Well, it was a lot for Tim. Yeah, he was a great support to me throughout it. So that's why we did Mexico. It was our 20th wedding anniversary. It was the end of my MBA, and we
Yeah,
said, you know what,
you
let's go
deserve it.
celebrate all the things. So yeah, yeah,
That's awesome. It
yeah,
is really hard, and I didn't even fast track it like you did. I don't know how you did it, because I didn't do 2 courses until my last term, and I was like, I wanna be done this,
yeah.
and then so I did 2 courses, so I can't imagine doing 2 courses all the time, no break.
Yeah, it was a lot. There were a couple, like one of the courses was it was a corporate finance course, which I breezed through because it was all the Canadian security stuff that I had previously studied. I'm like,
Excellent.
this is amazing. I'm doing great. In fact, I had, what did I call it? It was like V's study session hour or something.
Cute, I love it.
My classmates would call me and I would, I'd be like, yeah, we're having just a study session and tutoring and I'll help you. That
That's
was
so
nice.
nice.
There were other courses. I was like, there was an economics course I took and it was like all theoretical. And I'm like, this was not anything
I
that I think I
cannot
will use,
imagine
but
economic theory being anything
I
but
know it was, yeah, that was not my favorite. Other people really enjoyed it. So yeah, yeah. But yeah, like some of the courses were really like change management was definitely one of my favorite ones, which I think is something that I kind of want to specialize in as I move
Mhm.
ahead in my career is helping. Because I think with change, we talk about like, oh, you're going to do this and then you're going to do that and then you're going to do the next thing. But what we don't always take into effect is how's this change going to affect the person who's receiving it? And what's the emotional journey that they are going to go through on it? So I did study some of that in one of my courses, it's called the Kubler-Ross stages of grief.
Yes.
So that's being adapted to the Kubler-Ross, like the emotions that you go through with change, the change curve. Yeah. And so I thought, oh, that's really good for people to remember that you have to think about how is this going to land with the person that's being affected by it. They're going to go through their own emotions through it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And,
So yeah.
that's really interesting too because, like, as you're talking, you're so passionate about so many things, but the thing that keeps coming back to is that you're so passionate about people.
Hmm.
So I'm kind of just surprised that you don't, or maybe we just haven't touched on it, like mentorship with you and like doing mentorship for new hires or like even just starting your own business and like mentoring people. But I also just wondered too, like when you were talking about that, it reminded me of when I was doing teacher mentorship last year. And teaching's really, it's just going downhill because we have
Mm.
less and less funding and everything like that. And what that
Yeah.
really means is that we have no time for collaboration. So we
Hmm.
have no time to actually meet with people unless it's before or after school when everyone's exhausted. And I would never meet anyone on the weekend. And so we had all these mentors with their mentees, but we realized fairly quickly on that, like, you can't not necessarily mentor someone, but you cannot try to offer any help of, like, self-reflection if the mentee is, like, down in that pit, right? And then really
Yes.
what you need to do is you just need to be a sounding board, and you need to be a cheerleader and, like, offer resources, and if the pit lasts, like, 2 terms, then you just that's what it is, and it's
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
really interesting how, like, just in the last 6 years, what mentorship, at least that I've seen, has turned into in my own profession of, like, it used to be like you had more capacity because you actually had collaboration blocks and you had like your school would get money from the school district to like do collaboration every 2 weeks, even if it
Hmm.
was
Hmm.
just for like one block of time. And now that that's gone, everyone's capacity for that is
Oh
just
yeah.
gone.
Yeah. I've never, that's really interesting. I've never really thought about mentorship, maybe a little bit of coaching. I do know, like, with some of my colleagues, because how our project management office works, we're kind of like internal consultants because we're corporate services for the other 7 branches in our division. So they come to us with like, "Oh, we have this project or we have this thing," or, yeah, so I kind of like that because I'm helping them in that capacity. But,
That's
like, I mean, I do have colleagues who don't necessarily work in my immediate work unit who may be going through things and, I don't mind being a sounding board for them to talk about it. And some of them are a little bit younger than me, maybe in just like in their very first or second leadership role. And, it's like, okay, well, this isn't working. Have you tried doing something, a different way? I don't know how it always lands. I mean, it goes back to your question about, you try to problem solve and does
Mhm.
it go badly? And I'm like, maybe sometimes.
Yeah,
Maybe when I'm
maybe
giving this,
sometimes.
when I think I'm coaching, I'm actually just telling them what to do, and they may not be ready to hear it.
But I mean, that's just growth too, because maybe they are ready to hear it. Maybe what they need is for you to be like, okay, like here's the path
Yeah,
and
maybe.
that kind of thing. Cause sometimes that is part of mentoring or coaching, right? Like it's like
Yeah,
you just have to figure out what season everyone's in. Cause
yeah.
that was hard for I didn't find it hard for myself because I do find pivoting easy, but it was hard for some of the mentees or the mentors to kind of realize like, oh, like this is not the same as it has been the last couple of years. Like we're all pivoting. And then I was lucky because I could just like I called someone up and I was like, this is what we're
Oh,
dealing
are you
with.
there?
And they're like, here's read this and
Yeah,
like then teach it to your mentors. And so I was able to do that. But that would be cool. Like I think you would be a good mentor, but it
yeah.
would be interesting also to see you mentoring mentors.
Yeah. And I think, really interesting because I think in my next job, I mean, I've been a manager before, supervising people, but what I want to be is I want to be a manager of managers.
Yes,
Like I want to manage those who manage others.
totally.
I really want to help people be better. I'm not a leader. You know how some leaders are really threatened by people who are better than them? Like, no, please be better than me. Let me help you be better than me.
Let me help you be better.
Let's
Yeah,
go. Yeah. I believe in surrounding yourself with people who are stronger than you in different areas.
totally.
Nobody has the monopoly on good ideas. There's nobody who is a superstar at everything. Yeah. It's yeah, I think that's something I learned from one of the first boards I was asked to join. This is like pre-kids, and the woman asked me, she's like, because I want you to join because you don't always agree with what I say. And I was like, what a weird thing to say. But now I realize that no, that was really smart because she wants opposing views. Otherwise, if you're just going to have a bunch of cheerleaders and, raving fans in the room, then what's the point? You're not being truly challenged.
Exactly. You're
Yeah,
not forced to think critically at all about
exactly.
anything that you choose. You're
Yeah,
living in a vacuum.
no. And I'm not saying, yeah, no one has a monopoly on good ideas was another old boss had told me. And I was like, it's a really good way to think about it because I don't. I don't know. I have an idea. Let's tell me why it might not work.
Yeah.
Tell me why this is great. I don't know. It's
And I think that's really I think that's like amazing because there is so much fragility around and people only wanting to like hear that their ideas are good. And it's so interesting too because you can be in a meeting and they say like whoever's in charge, the leadership, whatever, is like, okay, so this is a collaborative meeting. There's no wrong ideas. Like, let's just like get this out there. And like, I don't know. I think I'm being nice and I'll just ask questions like I'm curious. So, okay, well, why did you think that? And what about this? Like have we seen this problem before? And what was the da, da, da? And then you get like pulled aside after the meeting, like, oh well, did you have to say that in front of so many people? Like you could have just come to me privately. I'm like, I thought this was a collaborative
yeah,
saying, like, I
yeah,
wasn't challenging you, I was asking questions, like, I
yes,
don't
yeah,
understand why people are so I mean, I do understand why people are so fragile, but I don't understand why people are so fragile that they can't handle that, because that's not true leadership. True leadership is being able to take those questions on and
yeah.
think like, "Oh,
I had a boss once who would ask me their opinion. Yeah, they'd want their opinion on something, and I would give it, and then they wouldn't like it if it didn't agree with what their opinion was. And I was like, well, then why did you ask me? Because now this is just awkward for all of us.
yeah, it's like you just wanted me to give you a pat on the back."
You
I'm like,
just
"You
wanted
went to the
validation.
wrong person. You should
Yeah,
always know who's gonna tell it to you straight and who's
totally.
gonna give you a pat on the back
Yeah,
for whatever mood you're in."
totally. If you wanted validation, just go see my dog
Right?
and have a treat, and you'll be you'll be your best friend.
It's just so
But yeah,
interesting.
yeah, it really is. And I think that's something as leaders that is hard to that can be a hard lesson to learn for sure. Yeah, we're not always right. I'm someone that I believe that your title doesn't define who you are. And your title doesn't mean that your ideas are more or less or whatever. Your title means that your roles and responsibilities is this certain thing. And I don't know if this happens in education, but it definitely happens in public service where people can get really caught up on what your classification is or your years of service or
Oh,
your
yes.
title. Does that happen in education also?
It's only, not to everybody. I mean, you can have someone in charge of inclusive education who doesn't even have an inclusive education certificate or anything. It really just
Yeah,
depends on who you are on if those things are not. So, fill in the blanks
yeah.
yourself.
Yeah, yeah. No, we can get we can get caught up, and I've done it myself, and I try really hard not to, that the person's classification doesn't have anything to do with who they are. Their
Yeah.
classification has to do with the scope of the job that they're doing, and even then, we know that the classification system is broken, and it's not it's too hard to, make a science out of an art, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So, yeah, I'm like, "No, that's people are people, and, they're not defined by the role that they're in."
Yeah, it is really weird, and it also is just, like, I think a lot of the things where, like, classification comes through, at least, like, at the school district level, like, for teachers,
Mhm.
and educators, is, like, it's actually determined by people who aren't even in education, really. So, like,
Mm.
we'll have someone from HR being like, "This is what you can teach," even
Yeah,
though, like, someone's degree will say something
something
else, or
else.
something more. So,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, and it's the same thing, I think, also with, like, curriculum and things like that, like, all the Ministry of Education is full of people who have not taught.
Oh, yeah.
So, that part is really, I think, difficult.
Yeah. No, no, for sure. Yes. That could be a separate podcast.
So many podcasts.
Right?
So many podcasts. But do you find that too, like, so, like, with classification for you, like, I guess, so my question, I guess, really
Oh,
is,
I'm losing you.
have you ever worked for someone that you're like, "Oh, you should not be in that job. Like, how are you my boss?"
I mean, yeah. I think that has definitely happened, and then you realize that, this was part of my thesis too. I was talking about, like, hiring so a little bit of hiring strategy and how I mean, a lot of the I read something about, like, how we vote, and I think this applies to how we hire. We vote on, like, the very charismatic personality, who can say the words and who can tell the story the best, and I think we fall into that trap a little bit with interviewing is, like, "Oh, they interviewed so well. They told me this great story," and then you get them into the job and you're like, "Why are you here?"
What do
We
you
need to do
actually
more
know?
skills-based interviews, something more tangible that's more reflective of the actual job that you're doing.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. So, yeah, there's definitely been times where I'm like, "All right, you know what? I can't change who's in the job. I just have to,
work with it.
maybe find a new one."
Right, yeah, maybe find a new one.
But,
Fair.
yeah, I mean, I have over the, years, I've had bosses who I'm just like, "I don't know how you got this job." I've had bosses who have been, like, a little threatened by me. I don't know because I'm just, like, super outgoing or whatever, but I'm like, "I don't want your job, people. I'm not interested in it, so you're fine."
That I find so weird when you realize what it is, and you're like, "I do not, like, want
No,
your job," and then have you had the person, like, be like, "Well, why not?" And
I
it's
know,
like,
right?
"What? How are we did you just wanna fight? Like, I don't
Yeah,
understand. I'm happy
I
to
know,
be the employee."
right? Well, that's just this was years ago, and I had no intentions of ever becoming a manager because I liked doing the job too much, and I think, I had a boss, and I think there's a lot of imposter syndrome going on with her too, where, she was just covering temporarily for somebody, and, yeah, I was like, "I'm not sure, whatever, you're here," but, yeah, we had some moments where I'm like, "No, this is not for me. You're not for me." Hey, what else? I was trying to think, like, education. What do you think? Do you think you'll do more schooling?
Man, will I do my PhD? Will I do my LSAT? Who's to say?
PhD or LSAT? Wow.
Well, I got really inspired, I think just over a year ago. I went to winter school, so, like, the CLC, the Canadian Labour Congress in winter school, and there was this, like, super cool, labor lawyer, and I was like, "Oh, that would be so interesting." So I was like, "Do I take my LSATs?" But I'm just gonna take a break now, like, Wayne still has to finish his, Canadian B soccer license and, like, hopefully pass,
Yeah,
so,
yeah, yeah.
and then we'll see where that goes. I don't know, I really, as I get older, I'm always just surprised, like, I think when I was younger, I really thought that only special people did things, and I was like, and I knew I wasn't
Mm.
special. I was like, "It's okay." But, like, I realize different things about myself now, but what I really realize is that, no, if you work hard, you can, like, do the thing, like, you just, like it's just steps, and you just have to climb the steps, and, like, they're steep sometimes or rocky or, you're gonna
Yeah.
fall down a little bit, but, like, you can still climb the steps, and I think that's been a huge realization because I had wanted to do my master's probably for 10 years, but I was convinced I would flunk out. I was like, "I'm
Mm,
not smart enough, like, I just don't have that gift that other people have," and I realized that there is no gift, like, it's just working hard.
yeah, totally. It's just
So,
school.
yeah, and there's actually this amazing teacher, and I'm very lucky to work with her because I had actually seen her 7 or 8 years ago. She had done a Pro D over at the Old Vic High on the Pro D days, and she was talking about, like, literacy, and it was super engaging. It was one of the most engaging Pro Ds I'd ever been in Canada because we'd have such good Pro D in New Zealand as a teacher, and she was talking about just, like, her experience teaching, having diverse students in her classroom, and how important it is, like, she told a story about how this student always chose this one bin of books, and she every day for like a month. And so she asked her, she's like, "Oh, what's your favorite story in this?" And it was just, it was a book because it had characters that looked like her. And then she, went
Oh,
over all the
yes.
stats of like how many books have dinosaurs and how many books have puppies. And then, how many books actually have people of color in them or are divergent. And so it was
Yeah.
just super, I still think about it. It was 8 years ago. And now I get to work with that teacher. And
Nice.
yeah. So I actually forget what the question is, but oh, that's right. Anytime I thought that my master's was too hard, I remember that she did it with like two young kids, like a 1.5-year-old and,
Oh,
like,
geez.
3-year-old or
Yeah.
something like that, and I'm like,
Yeah.
"I've got this really easy with, like," my daughter's 9 years old now, so
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Tim's convinced I'm gonna go on and do something more. In the
I think so
21
too.
years Tim and I have been together, I've always been doing something, studying something. Um, I don't know if I would go as far as doing a PhD or a doctorate. There isn't anything that I'm, like, that passionate about that I wanna spend that much time studying and researching. I kinda just wanna go out there and help organizations be better. So I'm like, let me at it. Let me go maybe take some micro credentials or, like, just, like, a few courses here and there to specialize in different things.
Well, I'm pretty sure everyone at Toronto thinks you're gonna go on and do more schooling. I'm sure I have heard Steve say the same thing, like, he's like, "You're always in school."
Always
But,
in school. Yeah.
you can do a 2-year PhD program now. If they have a
Yeah.
career PhD program, I think you can do it with UBC.
Really? No, don't tell me that. 2 years. Wow, that's 2 years.
You could do it. I know some people
Yeah, I
that are
don't
doing
know.
it.
This master's was a lot of money too.
It is,
You know?
and for you, especially, like, I was able to, like, because I had surgery halfway through mine, I had to take off, like, 2 terms.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
I
yeah,
was
yeah,
able
yeah.
to really spread that money out. So I don't know how
Yeah, no,
you
not so
paid
much.
for all of that in a year and a half.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I did have some help through work. They were able to cover, a few of the
Nice.
courses, which was nice, but yeah.
Will you get a raise? Like, does it
It doesn't work like that. Like, I think with teachers, if you get a master's, you get an automatic bump up or something like that?
yeah, I mean, it's gonna take a little
Yeah.
bit of time, but yeah.
Yeah, yeah, so no, not with us. It just opens up the pool for maybe different jobs that I can apply for that maybe want a minimum
Yeah.
of a master's. So,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
That's one of the practical reasons I did it too, is because, like, I've already taught in, like, Australia. I'm from Toronto, taught in
yeah,
Australia, New Zealand, teaching in BC now, and with Wayne becoming a soccer coach, like, we might end up in Scotland. I don't know where we're gonna end up. So, like,
totally,
with a
right? Yeah,
master's
yeah,
degree, I can
yeah,
it'll be easier, I think, to find teaching work
I
anywhere.
think so.
Yeah,
Yeah, and for me doing an MBA, I remember somebody saying he's an engineer and he's like, he's like, you have an MBA, he's like, "Any company will hire you." Like, it doesn't even matter if you know the industry, like, the fact that you have that skill set and, um, that background, I was like, "Okay, so I feel good that way." Um,
totally.
I just have to figure out I mean, what I really am trying to do is not chase the money, more chase what is the right job, because I have learned that you could be making all the money and it can be the wrong thing for you.
Oh, that's a good lesson to learn.
It is, it is.
And it's good to that
Yes.
you, like, made that like, you learned the lesson and also, like, made the change, right? Some people figure the lesson out, but they still just are like, "No, can't change now."
I mean, I have to really thank Tim for that change because to be honest, when I left my job at the bank, it was because he put his foot down on a Sunday night and said, "You're not going back." He's
Wow.
like, "You're not going back." He's like, "It's things aren't good." Yeah. And I was like, "What are we gonna do for money? I'm the higher income earner."
Me
He's
too.
like, "I"
I hear you.
he's like, "I will fire every guy I work with. I will work every shift." He says, "But you're not going back to your job."
That's
And I
lovely.
think at that point he knew that my mental health had gotten really, really bad. And I think, for a long time, I think it was trying to hide it from people. And there came a point where I just couldn't hide it anymore. So, yeah.
Totally.
So forever grateful for him intervening in that moment. Yeah. And not to say like I mean, it took me, like I said, that was probably, it was that December, that following December where I'm finally feeling like, oh, I'm in a really good spot, things are good and I'm feeling happy. And then the pandemic.
Yeah. It's rough.
Oh,
So
yeah.
rough.
Right? I did learn things over the pandemic, though. Like, I learned to slow down.
Yeah.
I learned I don't have to be chock-a-block busy all the time, you know?
That's a good thing to learn.
100%. Yeah, I didn't have to, go to work and then go to the gym. Oh, and then I'm gonna go see a girlfriend, and then I'm gonna, and then go home. I'm like, "Oh, I can just
Do the thing.
go to work and come home."
And still be very fulfilled.
Totally, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
How do you
yeah.
think it can be one of the things I find really difficult? Well, I used to find it difficult. Now I just resigned to hearing it. Is like, oh, you're so lucky. Your husband's great. And like now, it used to annoy me because I'm like, just like you need some higher standards.
Yeah.
Now I'm just like, okay, you should have met him when we were 20. You know what I mean? Like, I put a lot of work into this guy, but he had a good foundation, of course. Like, do you ever get that as well? You've mentioned your girlfriends and dating. Like, how do you help if you do navigate those waters? Like, because some people really just will overlook really toxic behavior.
Oh, yeah.
And if it's minuscule toxic, they'll look, they'll just kind of put their blinders on.
So people I have many people in my life who are like, "You and Tim are relationship goals. Like, I always think about the 2 of you as like, like, I want a relationship like that." And I'm like, "Listen, friend, it didn't happen. I had a lot of work to do on myself before
Yeah.
before Tim and I, like, started dating." Like, at 25, I left my first husband, raised a 2-year-old and 8-month-old by myself. For 2 years, I didn't date. That was my life, was the boys, right? And I had to like really figure out, okay, what decisions did I make in my life up to this point that I'm 25 years old or 26 years old and divorced and um and what are the things that I'm looking for in a relationship and I really wanted a partner. I wanted somebody who would like, enhance my life and, um, someone I could be proud of and, yeah, but I was also like Tim and I had been friends for a little bit before we started dating, and so he kinda knew what he was getting
Walking
himself
into.
into, so to speak. But yeah, I just wasn't willing there was things I just wasn't willing to settle for. One of the things and people laugh when I say this, but I was like, when I was ready to start dating again, I was okay to date somebody who had been married before,
Mhm.
but I would not date somebody who had children, and I did not want more children. So
Right.
that's
Yeah.
really asking a lot. But I was very clear in that, and I kind of had a list of I used to journal a lot, and I had a diary about all the things that were like the non-negotiables in a relationship, and then kind of like the bonus things. Oh, wouldn't it be cool if like he liked music, or wouldn't it be cool if he played a musical instrument, which Tim plays the trombone,
Cool.
and just oh, wouldn't it be cool if I don't know, like just kind of like the things that I was like okay to compromise on, but there were definitely things that were like these non-negotiables, yeah. Somebody who had to be okay if I was gonna be the higher income earner. Somebody who had to be okay if I just wanted to go to school forever, you know?
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so I think but it is hard. I think people it was tough being single, right? Like, people wanna be in relationships and, have a partner but I think you can't compromise on your what I call the non-negotiables to have that, yeah. So, I do
Totally.
sometimes see that in girlfriends, but, you know? Sometimes I
I
think, well,
think
it's
sometimes,
also not my relationship and
yeah,
yeah,
sometimes it's hard to know what your non-negotiables are. Like,
yeah,
sometimes it's easier to be like, I don't know, like it's a feeling sometimes too, right? Like,
yeah.
yeah,
I know.
because
I sometimes I get the, "Well, I met this guy, but there was no spark," and I'm like, "I had no
well,
spark
that
with
doesn't
Tim for,
matter.
Tim was the twin brother of a guy that I worked with. Do you know what I mean? Like, we were
Yeah.
just kind of like all buddies and hanging out. It wasn't, I think this just relationship has just it really evolved. And, at the end of the day, like, I wanted to know that I was marrying my best friend, that he's the person that I wanted to spend my time with and that I could talk to about anything. Yeah,
That's nice.
yeah, yeah. So, yeah, I don't know. Stay single? I don't, I don't know what the answer is.
No, yeah, I don't know what it is either. And it's
Yeah.
so different. Like I haven't, Wayne and I have been together for 13 years. You've been with Tim for 20. Like dating is so different now.
Oh, yeah. I was talking at lunch today. I was like, if it's no more me and Tim, I'm like, I'm just gonna stay single. That's it. I don't wanna, you know.
I hate thinking like that. Sometimes before I go to bed, I think these terrible, like, what happens if, I don't know. Yeah. Like, and I'm like, I hate thinking like that.
Yeah, but I'm like, "Well, be me and the boys and the dog, and that's fine." Yeah.
Yeah. Got my couch.
Yeah, yeah.
No,
But
but I
no,
think,
it's,
like, I don't think I could ever date someone else.
no. Also, I
Okay.
don't I'm like, I'm very like, I got my quirks, man, you know? Tim and I being 20 years, but, we got quirky together.
I know it's good. Well, and also, like, it's interesting because you guys have been together since you were 28.
Yeah.
And Wayne and I have been together since we were 28.
Oh, that's so funny.
It's cute.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, it is,
yeah.
like, you do grow old, like, together, like, I had been in like, I had had a long relationship, like, so my relationship before, Wayne was 6 years, and he
Oh,
had
okay.
never had a relationship longer than a year and a half, which I
Oh,
think for
okay.
some people might have been, like, red flags, but the biggest thing for me that I was looking for was, like, consistency with a job and, like, willingness to work. Do you know what I mean? Like,
The bar was set really low.
I had like, my biological father refused to work and my sister's biological father refused to work. So that was kind of where I was at,
Oh.
like because I also think, like, if you're willing I think the bar was low, yes, and also, if you're willing to, like, stay at a job that's difficult, like, you learn problem-solving things, you learn
Totally.
management techniques, you learn how to talk to people, you learn how to, like, handle negative things, you learn how to be exhausted,
Yeah.
right? Like, when Nessa was born, he did way better than I did with the exhaustion because he'd already, like, worked 14-hour days and things like that
Yeah,
in his
yeah, yeah, yeah,
job.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like, I remember once she wouldn't go to bed, she's would never sleep, and I was desperate for her to sleep, and I called him, and he was at work, and he worked, like, about 10-minute drive. He came over, like, grabbed her, put her to bed, put me to bed, and then went right back to work. So, like, that was I needed that, I couldn't handle it. Yeah, guys, crazy. Or
Yeah.
partnerships.
Yeah, yeah. But no, it's been good. It's, yeah. So now we just kinda see what the next adventure is. I'm gonna do a my girlfriend and I are gonna do vision boarding together in January.
Ooh, have you ever
Yeah.
vision boarded
I've
before?
never done this before,
Me
but I
neither.
thought, "Why not?" Because right now, I don't really have anything grounding me for 2026, you know? I have
Whoa,
ideas
that's
of what I wanna
insane.
do, but I don't have like, there's no school on the horizon. So what does it look like? Do Tim and I want to try and travel more next year? Probably not because our mortgage is coming up for renewal and interest rates are going up
Are they
since
going
our
up?
last
I can't
renewal.
tell if they're gonna go
Well, I
up.
mean, we bought 5 years ago, so the interest rate was, like, under 2%. So,
Shoot.
yeah, so I was like, "Maybe not that." But, yeah, like, trying to have a few things throughout the year to look forward to.
Yeah.
Maybe I will do a course or 2, just to kinda I have to do them for continuing education credits anyway, so,
You should just look into
um,
getting your, like, that PhD in, like, 2 or 3 years. Just look into it. Especially if
maybe
it's,
it's
like it's supposed to be
2027.
based on your career. So you're supposed to be able to, like, align your projects and learning with what you're already doing.
Hmm. Yeah, maybe. We'll see. Yeah.
So how
But yeah.
you just seem like you'll meet someone new and, like, some of us will just be like, "Oh, there's a new person in the room," and go about your day, and you will be like, "Oh, I must meet that person." What is it, do you think, that drives you to just talk to everybody?
I, I think because, selfishly, I want everyone to know who I am. I think,
Fair.
uh so I have this thing on my wall. I don't know if you can see it. But it's like a little I can't take it down, but it's a pie plate. and we wore it on our backs during residency in school, and everyone wrote things on there. And somebody has written on here, "You bring so much energy into the room and you invite others in. It is a gift."
It's so
And
true.
I think I just love people. Everyone has a story. I want to know what it is. Um, yeah, and I think, like, at the gym, it can be I remember, like, at the gym, it can be super intimidating, right? And, yeah, new people, I'm like, "Great, what come be friends. Let's," um, not everybody is my best friend, I have to remember that. But not
Good
everybody gets to
point.
hear
I
my
agree
life
with you.
story and, just what
Yeah.
I wanna share. But, no, I just genuinely like people, and, I find them interesting, and, yeah.
Are you ever intimidated by people? Do you still go up to people if you're like, "Oh, that's intimidating. I'm gonna go say hi."
I don't think so. I mean, I think I have been intimidated, and Tim we might have to edit this out, but Tim always says, you just gotta seize the day with the unearned confidence of a mediocre white man.
The the confidence that mediocre white men who have nothing to their name is astounding, but you know what? That's what society does.
Yeah, so I'm just like, what's good? What's the worst that can happen?
Yeah. I
Yeah.
think that's a good one to have, like, what is the worst that can happen?
I don't think there are people that intimidate me. I'm somebody that can very, very much feel people's energy. It's like an energy feeling, but I can definitely, I get vibes, and I'm like, "Oh,
Yeah.
strong vibe." I'm like, there's something about you I don't like, and I'm not gonna bother. It'll be a very superficial engagement. No, I'll do the, I'll meet somebody, I'm like, "Ah, no, they're not a good person." I think it's hypervigilance. It's trauma response
Oh,
because you're always scanning your environment. But I'm like, "Hey, man, if it helps me suss out, weirdos."
then
Yeah. But yeah, I have a girlfriend. She's like, "I just don't need you to meet everybody before I date them."
that is a good yeah.
For yeah, that could be my consulting service.
I think you
Take me
should
on
go
your
into
Tinder
business for
dates.
yourself. You should have, like, it should be like consulting, mentorship, coaching.
Whatever.
Here's all the
Free
things that I
laughs. Yeah.
do. Once a month, we do speed dating.
We just feed it. Exactly. We just go into the wild. I've thought about business for myself, but it scares me too much, like
Yeah,
having
it's
to
a
like
lot of moving
ugh,
parts.
having to like go find and get business, and it's not I think I'd be a good like business partner if somebody else wants to do the hunting and gathering.
The hard
I'll
lifting.
do the keeping. Yeah. Yeah, I'll do the relationship building. But yeah, I'm quite happy to work for a big organization.
I
I